We're live. We're live. This isn't a weird angle. This is great.
This is a perfect
This
angle.
is exactly where we want it to be. Actually, I think that is exactly where we want to be. I think that's fine. All right, we'll give people about 30 seconds, see who Instagram can rope in. Tell us about the tattoos you did today in the meantime.
Today I did a
It's not a huge glare on
tattoo for I did a tattoo for a volunteer firefighter, which was a axe and a tool that I cannot pronounce. Hollow.
Are you summoning a demon right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
I
so
want to say hologram, but I know.
Okay, so it's a tool for firefighting then.
Right,
Okay,
it
gotcha,
helps.
Gotcha.
He was explaining to me you can like attach it to the axe to make it more like stable.
If you know what the tool is called, put it in the comments. We have some firefighting friends on here, so I love that.
Yeah, so halogen, something like that.
Alright, so tools.
Yeah, it was like an axe and this like weird like sickly kind of
like a sickle
tool, yeah. Yep. But that was fun.
I was going to make a dark joke, but I'm not going to.
Soviet Union.
I'll say something about the Reaper, and he's in the right position for that, but I'm not going to dive too deep on that one.
And then we did a chess piece. What's that? The horse? The knight?
The knight. The horse is the knight, yes, for sure.
That was a good one. That was just a text at 12 o'clock, show up at 4 kind of tattoo. Yes.
Okay, I love that. Cool. I love that. You know, I was just thinking
great.
when you're like, I know they give you the example, especially when you're in labor, going through like even like dental work and stuff like that. They tell you to focus on something in the room, anything but a clock, to help you like focus and pass the time. And all I can look at is that cut off picture of Will's face. So if I'm ever feeling anxious during the stream and you see me just deadpanning to the cabinet that you can't see, it's just me looking Will right in the eye.
Yes.
Well, an eye and a half.
Yes.
Should we get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took that picture down.
I
gave it back to Billy.
And he put it back in here.
And then he was like, this belongs in here. So
yeah, no, that's, I mean, I feel like even
does.
after he leaves, it needs to be just like decoupaged.
Right. That belongs there.
You'll have to remove the cabinet before they remove Will.
Yes.
Alright, you want to say our intro?
Yeah, what's our intro?
I think it's Rawn Tarot and Tattoos.
Oh. Welcome to Rawn Tarot and Tattoos.
And it's episode 5 today,
Episode
right?
5.
And what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk mostly about mental health stuff today because it's something that we mutually have been affected by, and we both believe that the more we talk about it, the less stigma there will be behind it, and the more people will be comfortable either getting help for their mental health struggles, talking to someone they care about, or anything positive that can come out of depression, anxiety, whatever mental health struggle you have. So that is today's topic.
Can I ask you the first question?
Yeah.
Just because I think, in my experience, language helps us define what we're talking about. So I have a dictionary definition written on the next page. But I just want you to tell us in your own words, if you were going just to define the term mental health, what would that mean to you? Like if you were going to describe it to maybe someone who's never heard that term before.
Mental health is, I would say, the struggle or the ability to find comfort in your surroundings, to feel safe, to feel secure as you are as a human being, as you are as an individual, and being able to express yourself, because expression is the opposite of depression, right?
Yes.
Right. So feeling able, capable, feeling like you don't have to be your best, but like feeling like you're capable of growing and working towards whatever goals you have.
I love that. So just to like recap, so it sounds like you kind of tied in two things, like what good mental health looks like and maybe what a struggle or poor mental health might look like. So you said, like, on the downside, it says, like, struggling to find comfort, like, in yourself and your surroundings, the inability to maybe, like, express who you feel you are. But then on the coin flip on that is, like, able and capable to, like, express yourself and, like, find purpose, like, in what you're doing.
Yes.
That's
feel like life has some meaning.
Life has meaning. I love that.
Yeah.
For sure, because if life doesn't have meaning, then it's like, what are we really doing?
What
I don't
are we
know.
doing? Existential dread.
I love a little existential dread in the morning. That's like my favorite with my coffee instead of toast.
I wouldn't say that's my favorite.
Okay, you're right.
I would say that's
my go-to, my pattern.
what they gave me instead of my toast. I asked
your
for
coffee,
toast,
miss,
ma'am.
and 20 minutes of a panic attack.
Yes. No, I want to be able to, I do feel like being here is kind of like fictional almost, being in this human world, it's not, it is real, the pain you inflict on yourself or others, it's totally real, but also like you can play mind games with yourself to kind of get over it, So,
Absolutely, some mental gymnastics to get through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's really interesting that your definition had a lot of similarities to the Merriam-Webster definition.
Oh, disgusting.
No, it's
I
fascinating.
studied it now.
I looked actually at a couple definitions, and this one seemed the most detailed, but with a language that I felt the most people would be able to understand. So it says the condition of being sound mentally, so the condition of mental health as far as having a healthy mind, the condition of being sound mentally and emotionally that is characterized by the absence of mental illness. Saying, like, to me I'm interpreting that as 0, when we'll talk about that in a second. And by adequate adjustment, especially as reflected in feeling comfortable about oneself, positive feelings about others, and the ability to meet the demands of daily life.
You can tell that I've struggled with this a lot because I've talked to a lot of therapists and I just quoted them. No.
You can actually just bring this to your next therapy appointment
honestly,
and be like, how are you feeling? I feel like I have a condition of being sound mentally and emotionally, characterized by my absence of mental illness.
I'm cured.
Cured! Amen.
Yeah, no, but
I guess when I read this definition, the only part that I struggled to align with, what is it says, it doesn't say complete absence, but it doesn't say not complete absence of mental illness.
Right.
As if there is a cure. And to me, in my experience, and I know there's like some good research out there too, I don't know if there's necessarily a cure as there is a recovery. There is a recovery that often means fighting like your life depends on it. Because it does.
It does. It
literally does.
Yes.
But that means, like, some days come with a sense of ease because I fought so hard every day before that. And means some days carry a weight that maybe I need a friend, a therapist, a loved one to help me carry because the burden is too much. But to say that mental health comes without the absence of mental illness makes it sound very black and white to me. Like, either you are mentally ill or you are mentally capable.
Right.
And I feel like the human experience is in the gray.
Right.
It's in the gray. It's navigating the gray and learning how to be like overcoming so many things, but finding what you were talking about, like that quality of life, that purpose, and like living for ourselves again. Knowing that some days are just going to suck and we might not always have a clear reason why.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. So language, I said, helps me. If you guys see other interesting definitions of mental health online, like book definitions, dictionaries, I'm always fascinated by the language that these people choose to use to help explain things. So when you think about... So we talked a little bit about recovery. Should we talk a little bit about that, like recovering out loud and why we do that?
Sure.
I
don't think I have the answers. But...
All right, how about this? Why do we want to recover from mental health out loud and be so open about it?
Mostly because I feel like every single individual has something to offer this world, something positive.
Absolutely.
And also because the impact it has on the people who really do love you and care about you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes,
like,
yes.
it's not just about you, it's about the clan that is around
Your
you.
chosen family.
Right,
Absolutely.
whether that be actual blood family, friends, people you just claim to be family. It's, more so I have found recently that the people, and they're not within my blood family, the people who have supported me and want the best for me,
Yes.
I don't want to let them down.
Yes, that is a, what do they call it in the system? A protective factor.
Right.
The protective factor is I want to get well enough to stay alive and find purpose, because the people I love the most would be devastated if I took my own life or left this world in some other tragic way for maybe not taking care of myself or whatever that looked like.
Right.
That's a huge protective factor, because I always believe that it really does. I mean, it takes a village. I think you said that, like it takes a clan. It did take a village, but at the end of the day, I know in my darkest moments, like outside of my spirituality, outside of my connection with God and a higher power, I just needed one person.
Yeah.
I just needed one person in my life that I knew I could reach out to in that moment and be like, I'm not okay. Or even just have a friendly voice on the end of the phone to talk about the weather. Like, whatever it was, someone could just answer the phone. I also have a really good friend. When I first moved back to New Jersey, Nikki, if you're watching, hi Nikki. And
Nikki.
Nikki made the sourdough.
Oh, Nikki, thank you for the sourdough.
Yes, I gifted half to Lon and half to the owner here because it was such a beautiful loaf. But when I first moved back to New Jersey, it was very interesting as I kind of re-entered these circles and friendships and familial relationships that I had pretty much let go cold over the course of 20 years, with a combination of distance and me unable to keep those relationships alive because I was in such a dark place a lot of that time. And the first couple times we started hanging out and I started sharing with her, like things about my daughter and my own mental health, she'd say, you can come over anytime, even if you just need to share silence. And I was like, I use that phrase to this day now for others. Like, if you don't want to talk, you can just tell me that and we can just sit. I love being awkward. I will just stare at you until you're ready to talk. Like, no big deal. Actually, I will make it so weird you just can't wait to say something. But the gift of silence to me was like such a treasure, because all day and for weeks and months and years, I've been telling my story and the sadness and these tragedies. And sometimes I'm like, I want this person to know that I'm not great, but she knows that we don't have to like rehash it.
Right.
We can just sit.
Right.
And listen to
it's
music.
Not just all of the tragedies that you've been through. Even those, when you find that person that you're safe with, it's like, sometimes that's all you want to talk about for a while, but eventually it gets to a point where it's like, okay, we can just be comfortable.
Absolutely.
We can.
Like, I knew that when I was with her, I could share what was on my heart, or like we could literally, like, she could be doing her thing in the kitchen and I could be in the living room just processing and just have someone else in the room knowing that I wasn't alone in that moment. And now I try to pass that gift down to other people that I care about, like, hey, what do you need right now? Do you want to vent? Do you want feedback? Do you need to share some silence? Like, whatever that looks like, because that gift was such a treasure to me, that I still like keep that one in my toolbox for sure. What do you think are some, in like the same sentiment, things that, even if it's like a phrase or something else that someone has showed you along the way that you're like, I not only utilize that now for myself, but I use it to try and help take care of the people I love?
A phrase or something.
It doesn't have to be phrase or an action. Or like, can I give you an example of something you do? You're really good at just reaching out to, like, when you say, how are you? I know you actually want to know.
Yeah.
I know when Lon sends me a text, if it's whether it's, she got up at 5:45 a.m. to be wawaying, or 8 p.m. because, she took a...
I wait until I get my break to text you.
Me?
Just because I don't want to text anyone at 5 a.m. and be like,
that's
morning,
the middle of the night.
Right.
And also my phone's on silence. You can text me. And sometimes I see you've opened the text at 5 a.m., but you didn't say anything until 8.
Yes. No, I think absolutely that's a huge thing, reaching out and just saying how are you is a big deal to
Yes.
a lot of people.
With the established relationship, knowing that I know you're actually asking.
Right.
Because in America, it's what? How are you? It's two options: good or fine.
Yeah,
Those are the only
fine,
two things you're allowed to
living
say.
the dream.
Living the
whatever.
dream.
No. Yeah, I guess that's how I
reach
out
yeah,
to people. Is
reaching
just
out with no
saying, "How
expectation,
are
I'd say,
you?"
is a good skill for you.
When it's someone I genuinely care about and wanna make sure they're all right. I mean, like, I joke because I'm like, when I care about you, I'm kind of a dickhead.
An asshole in the best way.
You know, like, Ian, I think of, my brother. I'm like, what's up, fuckface? Every day.
I remember one time you answered the phone and you were like, "What's up, fart sniffer?" And I was like, "Oh, that's so cute, brother and sister, sibling,
Right,
love."
right.
Yeah.
It depends on the dynamic, but like, it's hard when you yourself are struggling mental health wise for that consistency, to daily or even every other day or weekly to be like, "Hey, how are you?"
For sure.
But I think it's when you feel like from someone that they genuinely care, but I do think asking people how they're doing, if they're okay, goes a long way. Yeah.
That's huge. That's a great answer. There was no wrong answers.
I wish I had more explanation for that.
No, that's
better.
great. Actually, I was just thinking we got to that because I was talking about why do we recover out loud, and then you went to so that the people that care about us, don't possibly lose us or have to watch us deteriorate, and we want to take good care of ourselves because we know that they love for us so deeply. And I just feel like another piece of that is recovering out loud so the people that are suffering quietly see that it's possible.
Yeah.
The people that don't have someone reaching out saying, "Hey, how are you?" The people that aren't meeting up with them for coffee and saying, "Do you want to vent? Do you want to chat? Do you want to just share silence?" Or they have those people and maybe they don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
We want to recover out loud so that people don't die quietly is ultimately, I think, sometimes the goal.
Yeah.
When we talked about being selfish, and that's absolutely top tier, but number two, number one, recover for yourself. You deserve a good life, a quality life full of purpose and joy and ups and downs, the mountains and the valleys that all humans experience. But we also want to recover out loud so that the people that are suffering in silence see us doing it and they think, "I can do that too." Leading by example. When do you think is a good time to ask for help?
So speaking from experience, I normally wait until
You need a ride to the psych ward.
Literally, and
I'm packed. Actually, can you come pick me up?
most recently, I was talking to Ian's mom, Marcy, and I was like, "It's bad." I didn't have to say much more than that.
Yeah.
And she was, the next morning she was like, What do you need?" And
What do you need?
"I need to go to the psych ward." I'm not safe.
Yeah.
I'm not okay on my own. But just, having someone there
Yes.
to ask, "What do you need?" was huge.
Absolutely.
Because if I was on my own and I was just
But you were
struggling
so brave
by
enough to
myself-
say, "I need to go to the psych ward now." That's the next step.
Two parts, being able to reach out to someone and also physically being able to reach out to someone, and maybe you don't have someone that you can say that to, but acknowledging it in your own mind.
That you need help.
And taking care of it however you see fit. There are crisis units outpatient available. There are crisis units inpatient available. Whether you need to sign yourself in or just find the local, the closest crisis, unit that will talk to you.
Yeah.
But What was the question again?
We were talking about when do we ask for help? Like when is it the time to ask for help? And you pretty much started at like, you know, the top tier answer, which is like, I'm no longer safe, which to me would be like the highest level of escalation.
I don't think that's when you should wait till. That's just my personal
that was
experience because
that's definitely when you should though. Don't wait any longer.
This horrible guilt for putting my troubles on other people. I don't
feeling
want
a burden.
I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to say, hey, I'm struggling. You know, like if it's not minor, but if I'm not like at my breaking point. So when I get to my breaking point, I'll finally speak up and be like, hey,
it's time!
It's time!
I need a new pair of herpy socks.
Literally, you took the words out of my mouth. I need a herpy sock vacation.
Herpy sock vacation.
Right
for
now.
Sure.
Which, you know, maybe not the best option, maybe.
But still an option, right? Like,
if
you're at that point, definitely ask.
Yes, if you're at that point, talk to someone, even if it's a stranger, you know, like.
But I do hear you saying, like, we don't have to wait to that point.
No.
So, like, you're saying, you know, like, the most recent example is you waited for someone that cared about you to say, what do you need? And you're like, I'm no longer safe.
Yes.
So I recently had a psychiatric stay for the first time, and I'm working very hard to see if I can healthily make it my last time with no expectation, just trying to take better care of myself. And something that looks like for me as I navigate mental health recovery is having friendships and family and relationships with my friends and family where we have such an open line of communication where, like, I can start asking for help, whether it's something so minor, like, hey, you know what, like, I'm actually not feeling great today. Can you send me some shitposting memes so that I can, like, laugh for a minute? Like, that's what I need. Or, like, I need some quality time. Can I come over and hang out? Can we go out for coffee? Can we go, you know, do yoga? Like, whatever it is that brings you joy. But having, like, those consistent communications is going to be so vital, I know, for me in my mental health recovery to prevent getting to the point where I'm like, I'm no longer safe. Because looking back, I think not being able to take care of myself properly, and also as a mother to a special needs child, it was very complex. But I wasn't able to take care of myself or communicate that I wasn't taking good care of myself in a way that would make sense to me without feeling like a burden, without feeling like I was putting it on somebody else. And although that situation's a little bit different because what drove me in there was being so subdued or submerged in the caregiver role that I could not identify myself outside of it. But even when I was in, you know, I took note of the people whose phone numbers I took with me. I took note of the people whose phone numbers I took with me to a psychiatric hospital, knowing those... What? Are you laughing because you were on the list? The people whose phone numbers I took with me to a psychiatric hospital, because I knew that they could get a call from a psychiatric hospital and my voice would be on the other line. And I would be greeted with a voice of, like, eager and tender love. I knew that I would be greeted by a voice that says, how are you? What do you need? A voice that says, you know, like, let's joke about getting your spiritual lobster tail written in on the menu for lunch. If you're watching this at the hospital I stayed at, I never did get my spiritual lobster tail, but that's okay. I forgive you guys. But, like, those are the people that, like, I knew that even though I had maybe not been as open with them as I wished I had been up to that point, that those are the people I was going to start with.
Yeah.
Those were the people that had enough rapport and trust within my heart and my soul that I was like, if I'm going to start building these relationships, it's going to start now. It's going to start now. Because I do think that these people, one, have my best interests in mind. But secondly, I feel like they want to help me align with my truth. And truth looks different for everyone. So I don't need everyone in my life to tell me what to do. As a matter of fact, that's usually not what I need. Right. I need someone...
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually a lie. Please tell me what to do.
No, don't tell me what to do. I'm just going to get pissed off.
You know, I need people in my life that can see when I'm struggling, even if I don't say it, and say it out loud. You know, like, see or hear me. I talked about hygiene with a group recently, and I said that's usually a key indicator that I'm not doing good. It's consistent poor hygiene practice.
Yeah.
I need people in my life that, like, obviously not in an embarrassing way, but maybe, like, it's on a one-to-one, like, Randy, like, I just noticed that you don't seem like you're taking good care of your hygiene right now. Like, what do you need? Are you okay? Like, just those tiny little things, because I'm not going to get better if I stay quiet, if I stay shameful, if I stay in the shadows, and I don't say it out loud. Because my whole life, that's how I navigated, was hold it inside, don't tell anyone, don't be a burden. And that's how I landed in Grippy Sock Vacation.
Yeah.
Not saying anything, so. Yeah. For sure. I think the original question was, when do we ask for help? And I think we're both in agreement that, like, ask for help at the most basic level, which is just continuing friendships. Asking for help means staying in touch with people. It's a symbiotic relationship. You give and take with each other, to the everything between, all the way up to, I'm no longer safe. I need you to help me get help. Like, I need a hand walking me through that. Do you have a specific way you want to go? Otherwise, I think maybe this might be a cool segue to talk about Storybook Day and what that means to you, because I have a subtopic that would come after that.
Yeah. So, for anyone who's not aware, this year I'm hosting my 4th annual Storybook Day, which is a donation program that I started on January 26th, and it runs through March 12th. So, I'm asking for a $5 donation to the American Society for Suicide Prevention, or National Society.
It's on your Instagram, right?
It's on my Instagram.
What's your Instagram handle?
Storybook Tattoos. And this is an annual thing that I do. For one, to shed light and highlight the importance of mental health, which is why I ask for the donation to this foundation, but also in memory of my brother James, who
who's overseeing
that
episode
guy right
5.
There, who I lost to suicide on March 12th of 2020. My brother James was beyond brilliant. This kid scored perfect on the math portion of the SATs.
Wow, that's like unheard of.
He got a 5 out of 5 on the AP exam for BC calculus, which is the highest level of math you can take in school, in high school. But my brother and I had no support growing up. We had a father who was mostly absent and a mother who was very abusive. So, by the 24th year of his life, he was unable to continue living, and he took his own life on March 12th of 2020. And, I mean, it's not something that I want to dwell on with any kind of negativity.
Yeah.
It hurts every single day,
Absolutely.
But I want to make him proud. I offer a free tattoo if you donate to this cause.
So everyone who donates gets a free tattoo?
One person
will get selected.
Out of
Okay.
all of the donations gets a free full day tattoo.
So just to recap, go to Storybook Tattoos on Instagram, find the Storybook Day post. Is it in a reel?
No, it's just a simple post this year.
It shows the details.
So I always made James birthday cards, Christmas cards, all of that. So I've been working on this drawing pretty much all year last year, and it's a picture of my cat Sam, and he's like in a jester outfit.
Oh, Sam.
I feel like he would have enjoyed that. He was a huge animal lover and everything like that. So it's Sam, and it says something like, "Do you believe in magic?" But that's his birthday card. So you share the card, you donate, and you are entered to win a full day session tattoo. So 6-hour tattoo with me.
Okay. When we share this live afterwards, I'll also make sure I tag Storybook Tattoos. You can then go to her Instagram and find more information.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a couple things, like, you know, you want to make James proud, but you also want to, like, shed light on such a very, like, tragic topic that I think a lot of families carry so much shame around. You know, they don't want to talk about it. But also, it almost sounds like maybe it's part of, like, your own healing journey. You know, like, maybe something
literally,
beautiful out of something shitty.
I cannot not talk about this.
Oh, like, I love that, yes!
I feel bad. Like, I'm not trying to speak poorly of my mother or my father, but we had no support system growing up whatsoever. You know, my mom was...
I don't think we need to feel bad about just stating, like, some facts. You know, like, you didn't have emotional support growing up.
I mean, my mom was a narcissist. She kept us very isolated. And herself was... She was incredibly abusive towards all of her children, most specifically towards James in a verbal sense, like very always put him down. Gotcha. And I feel like her actions led him to feel like he was less than he was, even though he was brilliant, he was hysterical, like more than anything, I miss his sense of humor.
Oh, I love that. It's a good memory.
I really do. Like, you know, he would send you the most wild shit in the middle of the night, and you would be crying laughing, you know?
That's awesome. So is part of the hope also to encourage people to get help because you're drawing attention to a national program?
That also, and, you know, I want to touch on the fact that, like, I feel like there's a bigger stigma around men reaching out for help than there is women.
Absolutely.
Know? As a woman, we are emotional, you know.
It's more typical for us to be like, oh, we're emotional, we need help,
Right, but as a man, you're supposed to be strong, and, you know, like, James was the man of the house since I was, like, 6-7 years old, you know, and to know that he carried that burden, and when he came to a point where he was struggling with his mental health, he didn't reach out to anyone.
I get it.
You know?
Yes, there's definitely, like, statistic data, too. If you guys want to go to the program that she's talking about, they have good data on their website. I saw it. That definitely, especially men, like, suffer more silently. They're also more likely to be successful at a suicide attempt, whereas women might be a little more... what do I want to say? Like, less thought through, like, more just, like, working on impulse, whereas men will, like, be very strategic and make sure that it's complete. So let's take a moment of silence for James. Is that cool? All right, give me a hug. Let's take a moment of silence. Yes. I love you, friend. I love you.
I love you, too.
So, I think that would be a good segue into, like, navigating a broken system.
Yeah.
You know, the mental health system, very specifically, is so innately broken for so many. And I personally firsthand experience that it is very true that only, like, the wealthy get better. Because if you cannot pay for private care and private residential stays and private, even, like, drug and mental health recovery, things of that nature, you are usually just assigned a number, quite literally, and left to fend for yourself. And as a mother to a special needs child who spent her whole childhood, up until, like, literally right now, advocating and fighting just to get her the care that she needed, and I am well-spoken and literate and a good learner, like, and I am not afraid to express myself, and I can read language that others may struggle with, and I can... Oh, I hear them being loud. I can read language that other people struggles with, and I feel like I can also, like, adapt into different settings. So, like, I can adapt into, like, very clinical language, more casual language, punitive language, and, like, school language, like, all of it. And still, we struggle to get her the care that she needs firsthand. So even with a good advocate, it was still, like, nearly impossible on, like, the best day to get what we felt that she needed. So learning how to, one, I think, make the best of what you do have, and two, absolutely never stop advocating for yourself. Never stop advocating for yourself, as I am now restarting my mental health journey and kind of, like, kickstarting the mentality of, like, healing and having a good life. It's important for me, like, you know, I identified where I wanted to go to intensive outpatient. I read about that place. I heard through friends and family members that they had been there before and that they had a positive experience. But even then, at this place, I can tell that they're busy. You know, the workers have a huge caseload, and it's up to me to show up and say, I need this or I don't. It's up to me to say I'm doing well or I'm not. It's up to me, you know, I need a medication change or I don't. Because no one else is going to speak that for me.
Yeah.
No one else is going to speak that for me. And then second to that, like, I feel like it's never a drop in the bucket to try to make a change. Because even the tiniest drops will eventually fill up the bucket. You know, I'm also hoping to put together a project with my child and I one day to kind of piece together what the mental health journey has looked like for her and make like a put together, organized, like mini documentary about our experience and her experience and what we went through, and shed some light on the system, because I don't have the power and privilege of money. Like, I don't have a huge wealth to like make changes or build systems. I don't have the capacity right now to be a lobbyist and be like showing up in public spaces or forums to say those things. But right now, my capacity is to get myself well and start documenting the journey in a way that I can share with others. And I want you all, like, when you see this video, or if you're watching now live, reflect. What can you do to, one, take care of yourself and advocate for yourself? And two, what is your drop in the bucket? What is your drop? I mean, one, lead by example. Always, 100% lead by example. And although making a mini documentary might not be everyone's cup of tea, maybe it's leaving a review for a place that you went to, good, bad, or in between. Maybe it's reading an article or writing an article. Say it out loud, word of mouth, that's what I'm trying to say. And just like never be silent about it. I don't remember what the question was, but that's where I went with it. Oh, we're talking about navigating a broken system and doing the best that we can with that.
As someone who, my first inpatient stay was when I was 14 years old. My mother gave me a bottle of Valium. She said that would help me with my anxiety. She told me to use it however I saw fit.
Wow, 14.
So, at 14, yeah.
Wow,
so
that's terrifying.
I was already like at my peak. That was me reaching out for help when I was like, Mom, like, I'm not okay. Like, what do I do? For context, she was facing criminal charges and my father was out of the picture entirely. So James and I were facing homelessness if my mom was convicted of these criminal charges. And I was like, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay, yeah.
I'm a freshman in high school. I'm worried about you and I'm worried about us. So she gave me a bottle of Valium that had, I don't know, maybe 140 pills in it. And
that's terrifying. Oh my gosh.
I took 128 of them.
That night?
That night.
Oh, okay. That's how you landed
that
in your
morning,
prison.
actually. I woke up in the morning. I always woke up very early for school. I took them and I laid on the couch and James found me. And I feel incredibly guilty about that to this day because James was the first witness to me trying to take my own life at 14 years old. And I was in the psych ward for a week in a padded room. They let me out. I was assigned to go to a outpatient therapy group. And as soon as my mother found issue with the outpatient therapy group, because of course I started talking about the issues that, I had at home, she removed me from the
only
program.
Support that you had, yeah.
So after that, it was like, I'm more scared to talk about my problems.
Course, yes.
I am...
So you were taught at a young age not to talk about what's going on because you would be punished.
Precisely.
Yes.
And, I was in and out of the hospital quite a bit when I was a freshman in high school. And I managed to keep it all together until I was about 18, when my mom and I were living together by ourselves, and she was having these like these episodes, I guess. I came home one day and she was like undressed on the couch, passed out. I don't know what she had taken. You know, the cops showed up. She was in the hospital. Then I ended up in the... It was just...
It was not really traumatic and upsetting is what it sounds like.
So, you know, that was my childhood experience with the system. And it wasn't... The system wasn't against me necessarily, but I didn't have the support behind me to
actually access it in a way
to find any tools within it.
So it sounds like there's also been a little bit of like an unlearning,
right?
Like unlearning the idea like, oh, I can't get help because I'll be penalized, or punitive language or whatever that looks like.
Yes.
I actually can get help when I need it.
Yeah.
And access that. If you could go back to that moment, like when you think about being 14 and saying like, I'm not okay, I need help, what do you think you really actually needed to hear in that moment? Like, was it something really complex? Was it something simple? Like, when you look back to that moment, knowing what you know now, of course, like, what do you think your 14-year-old self would have actually needed?
I wish any adult would have stepped up and said, you will be okay with or without your mom.
Yes.
You know, that was the biggest thing, because my mom and James was all I had throughout my childhood, you know. So, and my mom being the caregiver, you know, like the one keeping the roof over our head. And I have to give her credit for that. She always kept a roof over our head, always made sure we were fed, and, you know, that was it. Otherwise she just, you know, verbally abused us. But, no, like, I wish that there was a third party available.
Someone who could have maybe tried to separate you, even mentally a little bit, like, you don't actually have to rely on this like that.
Yes, yes, because I saw if she went to jail, that was the end of my life. Like, I couldn't conceive a life outside of that, you know?
Do you think that kind of ties back to what we were saying earlier about just needing, like, that one person?
Yeah.
To say, like, you're going to be okay? Like, absolutely, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely reflect on so many times in my life where I either did or didn't have that person, and how it played out for me. Absolutely. So it sounds like you're, like, in a spot now where it's like you're maybe still, it almost sounds like, and this is what I know about our friendship, like, still maybe in a little bit of the unlearning and building trust with, like, not only yourself, but with, like, the systems that we have available to us.
I'm still growing, you know.
Yes, and we never stop growing, absolutely.
I suffer a lot of trust issues and everything, and not just because of my mom, but a lot of past relationships and stuff. A lot because of my conception of how people are supposed to act.
Yes,
and stuff.
absolutely.
So, like, learning what realistic goal or expectations
of another person is.
Of another person, and also realizing the red flags, you know, like, if they're really damaging to my life.
Yes. Are they causing harm?
Right. Are you causing harm, or are you bringing something positive to my life, you know?
So something that also kind of talks about boundaries.
Yeah.
Right, it's like setting the boundary. But before I dive too far into boundaries, I just want to talk a little bit about expectations, because something that really stopped me personally from repeating the cycle of investing, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a family member, a parent, a sibling, a cousin, I noticed my pattern was to put someone on a pedestal. Yes. You are going to be all things to me, and I'm just gonna put all my eggs in that basket, and then when you crack one of my eggs, I'm gonna crack the other 11, so that we don't, and then it's all your fault and I'm the victim. Not because that's how I want it to be, but because somehow in my mind I was putting what I now perceive was God's job, a higher power's job, on a human. No human can be all things to all people. That is something we have to discover spiritually. That is all things to all people. But I do think it's okay to put an expectation on, like, the people that you can trust, and listening to your intuition, and, like, my expectation from my friends and family is to always take care of themselves first. even like, so if I ask someone for something, sure, in the moment I might be like, well, I wanted a ride or whatever it is.
Right.
You know, I wanted to hang out that day. So sure, my very human brain in that moment might be kind of grumpy. But once I just take a moment to look past that, I see they're taking care of themselves. Well, I don't have to always understand that.
Yeah.
Maybe they have work. Maybe they just want to sit at home and stare at the wall. That's not my business. You know,
Yeah.
whatever the reason is that they couldn't do that. But also finding a balance, which is, are they never available?
Yeah.
Are they never available, or are they available within their capacity? Because if they're available within their capacity, then that just means I need to expand my village, right? Like the people that I can rely on very strategically, very carefully. But that rolls me into boundaries, which is something that I think is new to me enforcing in my life.
Yeah.
It's new to me enforcing in my life because I had a very naive way of trusting my whole life, which was people should just treat me well. People should just be nice to me.
Right,
right. But I realized, one, people are normally inherently good, but they can still make a wrong decision. And two, some people are not inherently good, and they will be like malice and aggressive and trying to cause harm. So having the boundary of what that looks like. And I'll give the example. I had a hard conversation with a childhood friend a couple of weeks ago. And I told her, you know, if I've done something or said something that's caused a rift here, like, I want to talk about it. I didn't say, I'm sorry, because I didn't even know if there was an issue, which would have been my previous go-to. If I said something wrong, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not sorry.
Right.
But let's talk about it. Like,
Right.
let's talk about it.
I was going to say communication.
Communication, yes.
Is
That's
so
how you
key.
have the boundary, right? Like,
Being honest in how you're feeling. If someone's hurt you, if someone's, you know, made you uncomfortable in any facet, bringing that up and saying, hey, like, maybe not do that. You
yeah, I
know?
actually don't like that.
Right. That's totally fair. And if it's a burnt bridge because you said, I don't like that.
Yeah. And
Then
that's an alignment. Loss is an alignment.
Precisely.
Loss
Exactly.
is alignment.
Yes. If I say to you, Randy, I don't like when you come over and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and leave everything out, and you say, well, go fuck yourself. Clean up after
That seems
me.
so typical in our friendship.
Right, right.
It's not. I'm
If
joking.
you say, screw you,
Yes.
clean up after me, I deserve this, then I have the
that
choice
sounds like one of my
to make.
ex-boyfriends.
I have the choice to make,
Yes.
right? Do I keep cleaning up after Randy because I love her and I care about her, or do I cut the tie?
Yeah. But
You know.
But I do want to call it that you're giving me an opportunity to make it right.
Right, of course.
She's communicating.
Saying-
when you come over and make food and leave the place trash, like, that doesn't work well for me.
Right.
Can you please clean up after yourself? She's not put the ball in my court. She's setting the boundary.
Right.
And if I'm like, fuck you can clean it up, make me a sandwich.
Right,
Or if
right.
I'm like, oh, you know what, I was oblivious to that.
Yes, I didn't realize.
I'm so
you
sorry
know,
that I
like-
left your kitchen, because somehow trashed every dish making a PB&J sandwich.
Yes, every single dish. The colander, even.
All your steak knives, yeah, the
Right.
frying pan, the toaster, everything. That's funny. It's actually my only method to cooking. But what you're saying, like, I don't know if I'm expressing it clearly. Like, you don't know what a boundary is unless you communicate it, and you don't know if you need to set the boundary until, like, they kind of react to an extent. So, like, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich is like a lower level offense, right? Like, if I made the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you're like, this is, like, probably a oversight on Randy's part. Let me give her a
Yes.
chance to rectify it. But if I, like, stole something, you know, like, let's say I walked in here and I was like, oh, that's my pink toolbox now. You know, and then you come over to my apartment and you're like, that's my pink toolbox. So,
Right.
like, then I think that puts someone in a different position. So it's important for everyone watching, and for me personally, and for Rawn to reflect on, not all offenses carry the same weight, but they do all need the same language to be enforced.
Right.
Which is this something that I can work towards rectifying, or is the offense so upsetting or hurtful or egregious that actually, like, the friendship can't continue? You know, because I know for me it's like the 3 F's. It's friends, family, and finances. Or feelings, family, finances. Not necessarily in that order. But, like, if you're messing with the people that I care about, if you're trying to toy with my emotions, or if you're dealing with my hustle and how I make my money, or my personal items, like, we can't really be friends. Like, I don't want the drama. I don't want to have someone over my house and I'm like, I don't want to have to watch you. Like, we can't be friends. So that to me is like a pretty hard boundary, and if I had a friend that I felt like that happened with, I mean, I would like to think that I would at least try to figure out what happened. What happened? Like, why did you take this thing? Or, talk shit about me to that person.
To borrow your pink toolbox.
I really need to borrow suddenly, yes.
I meant to ask, but, I didn't think you would mind.
Yes.
Right.
But then the boundary is, you get to then decide, is that answer acceptable?
Right.
Is it worth giving a second chance to? Do you need to give people space? Because the older I get, I feel so fiercely that all losses are alignments. You cannot screw up what is meant for you. And that also means setting the boundary with the people you care about most. Because either they're going to help grow, to help their relationship go stronger, or they're going to break it off and burn the bridge, and that is their choice.
Right.
But it also stands to me, too. Like, we gave the example of me taking something or trashing your kitchen or whatever. Like, it hurts to have the boundary set sometimes against yourself.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I didn't mean that. Like, you take it
so
personally,
personal.
Yes, but sometimes you need a learning lesson.
Absolutely.
And to be mature enough to reflect and be like,
the reflect.
Yeah,
that's been important for me, is to think before I speak.
Right.
When someone comes to me with something difficult, meaning if for whatever reason we're not, it's sandpapery between the two of us, if I can, I'll even sleep on it. Like, I just want to make sure I'm not so caught up in my feels and I'm in my reptile brain that I'm not actually thinking clearly. Because be like, Randy, you messed it up. And I'll be like, catch me outside. How about that?
No, literally.
And they're like, we just wanted you to clear your plate from the table. And I'll be like, let's fight! So you justify rectifying the moment as much as I can, but also taking time for me to make sure it also aligns with my boundary, clearing off my side of the street as far as recognizing errors that I've made, and just being like my truest self. Sorry, I know I'm rambling, but I want to make one more point.
Please ramble.
You're like, I love this actually. Someone very close to me said, I know that these people in your life, because they see the relationships that I have and how fiercely we love each other, they said they love you because you're perfect. And I said, time out. Time out. I was like, my friends and family love me because I am the opposite of perfect.
Yeah.
I said the people that like truly I want to spend time with, that love me, that care about me, that we actually, time is the only thing you can't get back. That's another Nikki quote. Time is the only thing you can give someone that you can never ask for in return. Those are the people that have seen me at my worst, or close. Those are the people that have seen me make a mistake and give me a chance to apologize. Those are the people that call me out on my shit and say, do better. Like, in their own way, of course, not always saying, do better, but sometimes they are. Sometimes harshly, sometimes softly. The people that love me so fiercely is because I also offer them that in exchange. I give them a chance to be human. I give them the same grace that I'm trying to learn how to offer myself.
And that's important.
It is so important, for sure.
Because no one's perfect.
Randy, Bex, if you're watching, Bex and I had a cool conversation recently, and we were talking about the concept of perfection. I said something that's helped me break away from that mentality is I realized, one, I was just pretty much in a state of being paralyzed all the time. Like, I was never really accomplishing anything I wanted to in a way that I wanted to because I couldn't do it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why clean the kitchen if I'm not going to deep clean it from
Yep.
floor to ceiling?
Yep.
Why, get a job if I'm not going to, or not a job, but like, why pursue a demanding career if I'm not going to be at my dream job?
Yep.
Like, and I realized, and this was before my hospital stay actually, I'm like, this train of thought is making me miserable and it's literally killing me inside.
Okay.
And when I reflected on it spiritually, the thought that came to my mind was, perfection is not helpful, it's leaving you in pain, or paralyzed. Your best is enough, and your best means a combination of doing the best you can with the information you have in the moment and working towards doing better. And that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. Because that also gives you the subcategory of like accountability. Like, your best is enough doesn't mean just, screw off and do whatever and be like, oh, that was my best.
Yes.
It's not carrying a shame that invalidates the moment that you're in. So saying like, oh, I should have done better. What you're saying is where you are right now is not where you're supposed to be. You did your best in the moment and you're going to continue to learn how to do better, and you can let go of any of that guilt or shame. That was a Billy quote. Billy, if you're watching. All these fun facts and tidbits that I picked up from so many awesome people, but That one also made a huge shift. I was venting to him one night about like the woulda, coulda, shouldas, especially around being a parent. And he said, when you ruminate on things I should have done differently, I would have done differently, and like that state of regret, what you're saying is right now is not on time. And I absolutely know I'm on time. I just needed someone else to kind of like bring it into my vision in a way that made sense. And I was like, oh, no, I absolutely believe I'm on time, or I'm supposed to be right now. And he's like, then that doesn't mean you should have done anything differently.
Yeah.
And that like, that was like light bulb over Randy's head for sure.
That makes me think of another mental health struggle.
Tell me.
OCD.
I thought about that when I was really struggling in the depths of it. I'm like, do I have obsessive compulsive disorder right now?
So my mom suffered from OCD, and you know, one thing I learned how to do very well was clean. And I find myself struggling on a daily basis because I'll be like, I didn't get to dust this. I didn't get to clean this.
It wasn't perfect.
There's a piece of cat hair on this, and you know, to higher extremes than that, you know, but it's like, I don't think perfect exists in this world. You know?
I mean, if we could change the definition, to me, perfection would mean I did my best with the information I had at that time and held myself to a healthy standard. That's perfect. Like, that's perfect.
That's the best you can do.
Like, that literally is. And because also the idea of the perfection, I realized looking back in my life, was not actually always the best option. Like, what I thought was perfect was actually not not what I wanted. But I was so, like, obsessed, hyper-focused, whatever that looked like on the task at hand, that I didn't see that this other awesome opportunity was, like, right here because I thought it had to be this way.
Whatever that perfect looks like to you, you know, it's likely not a consistently attainable standard.
It's not for sure,
especially if it comes to keeping your house clean.
Yes, that was one of the bigger ones for me. Was I would wait till the house was disgusting and then hyper clean everything. But then, like, who can live like that consistently?
And like, see, I struggle in the other side of that, like, if things get dirty and I neglect them for like 3 days, let's say, I'm like, what's the point? Why bother? You know, like,
now I 2 cat ears turned into 10. Yes,
right,
sure.
Because it's like, but you know, if I vacuum the floor real quick and like pick up whatever visible globs of cat hair I can see, it's like, okay, that's what I
good
can
enough.
accomplish
Yes, for sure.
today. So that's what we got done, you know. If I got a lint roll and do laundry tomorrow, that's all right, you know.
That also came to be part of prioritizing myself, because in my head it was like, one, I wanted for house cleaning specifically, it had to be like a project in order for me to do it. And 2, I didn't think it really had to be done. Like, my brain told me it didn't have to be done unless someone was coming over.
I love that. When you're like, I'm coming over, I'm like, vacuum, dust.
The last time I went to your apartment, actually, you're like, look, it looks like I live here. And I'm like, I would hope so.
Right. Well, you sent me that meme. Like the lady, like, picking up blocks and stuff because of her kids and the lawn.
Is your spice cabinet organized?
No, it is not.
Oh, man.
Are your hand towels alphabetized?
Crazy stuff.
What does that even mean?
Yeah. So, like, just recently what I've started telling myself is, before I leave my space, I want to tidy it up a little bit. It's not perfection, but I mean, like, you know, the garbage is all kind of off the counters, and the bathroom is, like, ready for me to come home and take a bath or a shower, because I deserve to come home to a space that isn't a disaster. Not because someone's going to a livable space, yes.
But they don't have to be perfect.
No. So, but it is some mental gymnastics. I feel like every day throughout the day, cleaning's the most obvious one to me, but even like picking what foods I'm going to eat or whatever, like my brain wants to make it perfect, and I'm like, if I continue to try to make this meal perfect, I'm starting to become hangry. Yeah. Because I can't, and then I'm just going to eat trash, and that's not what I want. I'm trying to eat a more balanced diet right now. But, like, that's almost like a vicious way. A more vicious cycle.
Not me waking up at, like, 1 a.m. last night to eat a Kit Kat.
Your first meal of the day.
A honey bun. And some chocolate covered blueberry whatever the fucks from
Whatever the
Aldi.
fucks.
Yeah, I just woke up and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm hungry and I didn't have the perfect meal to eat at
Perfect meal. So you
6
didn't eat
p.m.
then, right?
So
And then
I
you went to
didn't
bed.
eat,
Yeah.
and I went to bed hungry, and I woke up and I was like, let me eat
Whatever
everything that
trash that
exists
I have,
in
yeah.
my snack cabinet.
But that makes me want to talk about, like, when we talk about mental health recovery or just, like, living a quality of life, it's treating the whole person.
Yeah.
You know, like, most of my adolescence and definitely well into my adult life, I thought if I just treated my mental, like, I was treating it like sections. Like, oh, I need to change my relationship with food, and I need to work on my mental health, and I need to work on my spiritual health, and my emotional health, and, like, I was kind of siloing everything, but now I realize everything is really kind of like pulling at each other.
Yeah.
So like if my
Everything's
relationship with
interconnected.
food sucks, you know, and I'm not eating in a way that nourishes my body, but also has some delicious value to it also, delicious and nutritious, then it throws off my mental health. Or I feel like crap because I didn't eat anything with any nutritional value, or I didn't eat enough, or ate too much, whatever that looks like. And then, like, same thing with the spiritual health. So, like, Western medicine absolutely has a time and place. Going to therapy, getting medication, like, whatever that looks like for you, absolutely. But in my experience, Western medicine alone, without any connection to some kind of creative entity, power, God, Jesus, whatever you believe in, whatever name you call God is okay, as long as it's only love. And however you can incorporate that, I'm like, oh, look, if I set my alarm 8 hours before I have to get up, which is very difficult. if I lay down 8 hours before I have to get out of bed, do you know what that feels like?
As someone who would like to sleep 22 out of
22
24 hours of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get it. So it's like
I love my sleep, but I know it's not all I can do.
It's not all I can do,
Yeah.
for sure. And I'm kind of in the middle of like a hard reset right now where I'm reframing almost everything a little too hard at once sometimes, but I at least came in with a very strong spiritual connection to God and my higher power in such a way that it's helping these other areas. Very like, I see like little blossoms happening. You know what I mean? Like just little things happening. I'll give the example of I just bought some extra fun ingredients that had extra protein and flavor to make a fun oatmeal in the morning because it doesn't require any chopping. I can put them. If I have to do any
chopping.
if I have to do any steps before 8 a.m., I'm not going to eat it.
Right.
And I would always be setting myself up for failure, being like, "Oh, I need an egg white omelet with like." I wasn't doing
No,
it.
you don't.
That was that idea of perfection, though.
Right,
The
exactly.
perfect meal.
Exactly. The avocado toast and the egg white omelet.
I actually I get nervous when
and
someone.
a quinoa salad.
I like quinoa sometimes. I actually get nervous when someone invites me out to eat and avocado toast is on the menu.
Why?
I don't really know how to act. I'm like, do I wear just the full avocado costume? Do I wear a 3-piece suit? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Because it's like not fine dining, but it's not like a diner. But then like, there's avocado toast on the menu, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Because it's like just fancy enough where I'm like, do I need a collar?
I don't think avocado toast is fancy.
It's not that fancy.
They serve it at Wawa.
Oh, you know what? They serve it at Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
Here, I can let that one go. I can let that one
no
go.
three-piece suits.
My soon-to-be sister-in-law invited me somewhere, and the first item on the menu was avocado toast, and my immediate response was, I don't know what to wear to this place. And she was like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
I mean,
there's avocado
there's
toast on the
avocado
menu.
Abort mission! So I actually did make the joke to her that I will just wear the full avocado costume, including pit, if we ever do end up going over there.
I love that.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure we definitely talk just a little bit more about treating the whole person, because if I'm only treating my mental health, which means going to therapy and taking my meds, but I'm, have no spiritual beliefs that make sense to me, or maybe we're talking to me by somebody else and they make me angry, then that kind of infringes on that. I also talked about my relationship with food, which can also tie into like movement. If you like to exercise, yoga, lift weights, whatever that looks like. I know if I'm not taking care of my physical body, then my mental, emotional, and spiritual body are also ill. We're all sick at once. It's not just one of us gets well. We all have to get better together. What do you think self-care looks like for you right now?
Right now, getting enough sleep.
That's good.
Because I, for as long as I can remember, have been keep busy to avoid. So, yes, I keep busy, but I'm also giving myself the opportunity to rest.
Okay.
Showering, just being clean, because
physical hygiene.
Especially over the course of the last year, I was like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah,
you know,
I get that.
Not that I never went to a point where it was like, okay, you're stinky.
Yeah, but you felt
But
it.
I felt like, okay, I haven't showered in 3 days, you know, like
you have your own personal thresholds.
So taking a shower, you know, every day or every other day at least, you know. Putting on a little makeup, wearing an outfit that I feel comfortable in, at least, you know? It doesn't have to be the cutest thing. I don't have to feel like...
Something a little bit funness, yeah.
Right. I don't have to feel like a model, but I want to feel like, okay, you know, I put a little effort into what I wore today.
Yes.
Today excluded. I'm in Wawa, drab still. But, you know... On my days where it's me just going to tattoo or, you know, whatever, looking like I put myself together a little bit. It doesn't have to be a full face of makeup, but looking like...
That kind of feels like feeling like yourself, like feeling at home in yourself. And
just, you know, cleanliness will probably always be a huge thing to me because of my upbringing and my mom having OCD and everything.
You mean like, so your apartment, like your home?
My home being clean, you know, like to an extent. Yes. It doesn't have to be perfect, but feeling like things aren't grimy.
Yeah.
And just, you know, like, again, enough sleep. And then doing things that I find enriching. So for me, that's mostly drawing, mostly creating artwork. So that's the best I can do for myself.
For sure,
you know.
Right now, does your self-care include any like traditional like therapies or choosing? And you don't have to answer this therapy or like medication or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I'm on antidepressants.
And you go to therapy.
And I go to therapy.
We love that.
It's crazy because like I'm on an antidepressant that gave me tremors, so I take a blood pressure medication
to help with the tremors.
Helps with the tremors, and then also a huge thing, which I'm not afraid to put out there, sexual dysfunction because of the antidepressants.
You know, say it out loud. Say it out loud. For sure, it's real.
I can't orgasm.
It is a very real thing.
They prescribed a third medication, so I take 3 medications.
Okay.
One so that I'm not anxious, one so that I don't shake, and one so that...
You're not feeling too depressed.
I can come.
Oh, I love that for you. Wait, what's that one? Can you see text me that one?
Yes, I'll send you that one. Which is also just another anti-anxiety, but I don't know. They explained it to me, but...
I think it's good to call it out, because people don't really talk about the sexual dysfunction.
There's a lot of side effects to antidepressants, but when you live on a level that it's like, I can kill myself, or I can just have a normal orgasm, you're gonna...
Lean towards the orgasm, yeah, for sure, yeah.
I'm gonna take the I can live for right now, because that's not...
Yeah.
But, you know, I talked to my doctors, they figured out, you know, like...
Something that works for you.
You need, you know, take these 3 pills and you'll be okay, which...
For now, that seems
maybe
like it's
in the future, I can get it down to less than that. Yeah. You know, that's a goal.
That's the season that you're in right now, yeah.
As of right now, it's like... These 3 things all balance each other out.
All right.
I function normally as I can, which is such a relative term.
But it's normal anyway.
Right. And then seeing a therapist on a weekly basis, talking about like what I've got going on the daily, you know, and
like
I talk to her,
clinical person to vent to a little bit.
I just talk to her like she's a friend of mine, you know. What did you do this week? I did this, you know, like. I ask her how she is, she asked me how I am, and then...
Got a good vibe with her right now?
Right, yeah, I go and do whatever I have planned for the rest of the day, you know, so, but I think, having someone to talk to who's a outside person, a third party, you know, like, she doesn't...
Neutral. She's neutral.
Right,
she's Sweden, yeah.
I don't work with her. I don't see her on a daily basis.
So important.
She is just, like, like talking to someone on TV or the internet or whatever.
Sure.
Just
She's, I think
a
neutral's
random
the best way to
person
describe
over
it.
there. Yes,
She's not
a
involved
neutral
in any other
person
area of your life.
that I can just talk to and be like, this is, and if I'm having irrational thoughts or thoughts I'm not sure are irrational, you know, like I'm having this issue, that issue.
Is 87 tacos too many tacos? 86 was good, right? I should have cut it off at 86.
I should have cut it off at 86. But being able to talk to someone and get feedback that has nothing to do with the rest of what you're is going on in your life is huge. And then, the medication, at least for now, as something to keep me stable and to the point where I wake up in the morning and I don't want to just throw up because existing causes me that much anxiety. You know?
Earth is my least favorite part of my existence right now. I get that. So I want to wrap up soon-ish because I know we're going on about an hour. I want to wrap up on the concept of prioritizing ourselves and filling our cup. But before we do that, I want to just open the floor right now. Anything that's on your heart or mind that you want to make sure is in this recording, or if you have a question for me or a question you want me to ask you before we kind of wrap up on this very inspiring please fill your cup note. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, for one, I just want to for the record, I suffer from depression, anxiety, and PTSD. So that's the point of view I'm coming from.
Got it.
I've had severely traumatic experiences, and I'm also genetically prone to suffering from depression and anxiety. So for any of our viewers out there, that's the point of view I'm coming from. Of course, we're not experts on this.
No, this is just lived experience.
We're speaking from experience, But
I think everything we've said
this is
here
what
today,
this is what keeps me alive.
Yeah.
So
I think you've made it very clear that that's your journey that's very personal to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't think we've said anything here today that's you definitely have to do it like this. The opposite, actually.
Yeah.
Do however it works for you.
Find your definition of fulfilling and love focused and taking care of yourself first and foremost, because if you can't take care of yourself,
you can't take care of anybody else.
What can you do?
Sure. If you're not taking care of yourself, that totally deteriorates the quality. I actually just think I want to make that the cover photo to this episode.
Billy's face.
Billy's very close in zoom shot. So before we came on today, I asked a close friend of mine, and Amanda, I'm sorry that I don't have the exact quote. It's on my phone, and I can't use my phone because we're streaming. I'm actually looking over here. I should be looking over here. But what I asked her was, why is it so important to prioritize yourself? Why is it so important to fill your own cup, in your life in general? And first and foremost, your journey matters. Your journey matters. Your journey matters.
Yeah.
You deserve a good life. And a good life doesn't mean it's without suffering. That is the human experience. We will suffer. But a good life means learning how to navigate that and finding immense joy at times. It doesn't mean always being happy, but it does mean always being content while also striving for something a little more. It means slow, sustainable growth. And it means never pouring from a cup that's not already overflowing unless it's a very unique situation. That should be the exception and not the rule. One of the things that pushed me into the hospital was my cup had been bone dry for a long time. And anytime there's just a couple drops in it, I would just pour it out, mostly into my special needs child, but also into friends and family. Not even necessarily because they always needed it, but again, it was distracting and pulling me from
it felt good for you, but
yes, especially doing spiritual readings for people when I was not doing great, because it would fill my cup in a unique way, but then I was still pouring it out in other ways. Your journey matters. Please fill your cup. If you're one of those people that loves to be of service and give back to others, you can just help your friends and family or animals, whatever your why is, why you want to keep going and what you're living towards, that's only going to happen if your cup is overflowing more often than not. Okay, so please don't pour from your cup. Again, the exception is sometimes you have to pour from an empty cup or a not quite full cup because there's a crisis or something very unique happening. It should not be the rule of thumb or the standard that you're constantly feeling drained, pouring out into any person, situation, job, relationship, any of that. And if that's how you feel, I really encourage you to reflect, like physically, spiritually, with a friend, with a therapist, whatever that looks like, to reroute, because you deserve to live a life that feels full and overflowing and abundant. My hope today is that us talking about our own unique mental health journeys, and please follow Rawn Storybook Tattoos. I'll tag her in this. You can also see about Storybook Day to make a donation on behalf of her brother James. Thanks, James, for overseeing our situation today. James is always chilling. Please do not suffer in silence. We're here today talking out loud, so those that are quiet do not die in the dark. So please take care of yourselves. Please reach out if you need help. And we're so glad that you guys made it here today. We're sending you so much love. Thank you for hearing us on a topic that I think is just like so, it's just like so personal to us as individuals, but also as friends, because it's something that we started to share together and unpack a little bit as we go forward. Is there anything else that you want to, what do you want to add before we end?
No, just thank you to everyone listening. Again, anything we said here, it's not a
medical
doctrine,
yeah.
a prescription. It's not, you don't have to follow anything we said to a T. It's just our personal experiences, and we both come from a place of love and caring for other people who may be experiencing the same things or similar things,
Yes, find what works for you.
Right.
But find the thing.
and make it work for you, because, I can speak from experience. If you're thinking about leaving this earth, there are people who are going to miss you, and your time on this earth is valuable, and whatever you have to offer is unique to you and very important to the people around you. So thank you.
We're glad you're here.
Yes,
we're glad you're still here. We're glad we're still here. I'm glad you're still here, friend. Thank you for sharing such a hard topic with me today.
Of course.
All right. We'll be talking about our YouTube channel soon, so more to be seen on that. This may or may not be our last Instagram podcast. But follow Rawn at Storybook Tattoos. Follow me at Our Hopeful Story, which I realized today we both have story in our tag.
Aww.
I never realized that.
Look at us.
Yes, today I was like, Our Hopeful Story and Storybook Tattoos. Yep. All right. Love you guys. Have a great one.
Guys. Thank you.
Ribbit.